Yes, I've seen it. Yes, it's terrible. And honestly, at risk of being too emotional publicly, it broke my heart, genuinely. I want to finally address something that a ton of you have been writing into the show asking about, which is, or at least became, much more personal than what we normally talk about on the show. For the viewers who will immediately know what I'm talking about, some of the context I'm about to give will be unnecessary, but because so many new viewers have tuned into the show in recent months, I want to take this as an opportunity to really tell the whole story, beginning to end. How did I go from thinking I could change, I could do it, I could change an extreme right-wing figure to failing miserably? And if you'll allow me, I'll walk through a multiple month saga that concluded with one of the biggest disappointments, I'd say, of my career, and really a disappointment for the whole team here. So let me take you back to the election. Shortly after the 2024 election, I got super excited about a new idea for a show. The idea was I'd co-host a show with someone completely opposite of me in every conceivable way, ideologically, and then we'd see what happens. So we reached out to a few different figures, tried a couple test runs, and landed on Isabella Moody, who has garnered attention over the years for stuff like, well,
I feel like to young women, unironically, they need to find a man that's very misogynistic.
I think Malcolm X is based. I'm Malcolm X.
Cool guy, yeah.
I would say he's based if he wasn't black.
Hey, speaking of getting a job.
Women aren't smart, guys. Newsflash, breaking news, we aren't smart.
The Black National Anthem is gay.
I say we bring back normalizing the word We need to shame again. We need to put them back in the closet.
Like, she's not even just a woman that I don't want to be president, because I don't think any woman should ever have a leadership position. Not only is she a woman, but she is the in chief.
Now, obviously, I thought it'd be entertaining to watch me, a liberal, talking about the news and different subjects with someone as outrageous and far right as she is online. But I also, and this especially given what happened, which we'll talk about, seems naive, but I think I deep down believe that if I just had enough time with every person, I could eventually convince them of some of my core principles. Not every detail of politics by any means, but at least basic stuff like, I don't know, decency. So we did it, hoping it would be interesting to the audience, but also me secretly, and not so secretly, hoping I would, over the course of the show, convert Isabella ideologically to something a little bit more reasonable from my perspective. And her husband, Josiah, too, who appeared in a few episodes.
I'm not gonna have gay sex. And like, gay sex is more than just like another man and a man. It's just like the idea of looking at sex as such a materialistic thing and just like, oh, well, like, we just have an orgasm and that's fun or whatever. No, like, dude, sex is about having children. It's about having babies.
So we launched it, an extreme right-winger and a liberal in the same room for a podcast once a week, see what happens. And as you'd expect, a lot happened.
Fine, if you want to have a freaking gay, freaking rainbow alphabet mafia bathroom for the queers, have your freaking bathroom, but I don't want any part of it.
A bunch of metrics are better off now than probably when y'all loved it. 1800, I don't know, 1700. When did y'all like it?
1950s.
1950s. Oh, the time to be alive.
Yeah.
Come on.
Seriously.
Including like the oppression of black people and stuff?
Oh, segregation's not oppression.
Oh, wow. But after the first few weeks, I'd really completely become uninterested in whatever intrigue was generated by the debate and disagreements, and became fully passionate about the idea of using this show as a documentation of the ability to take someone who, by her own admission, rage baits and then I believe says extremely hateful and hurtful things, and induce a transformation that would give people hope. If Luke can get Isabella to change her ways and become more compassionate in her politics and rhetoric, then who can we reach? That was the grand plan and dream as the show progressed. And pretty quickly I saw hopeful signs. After this particularly hostile podcast.
Luke, I'm sorry, but like, I've been so happy with the growth that I've done, but when you are still going after me, even though I've conceded that
You're calling
it's
people
hateful,
a pig.
It makes me wish I never conceded a inch.
See? And so then whenever you say it's super authentic and it's super genuine.
It is.
Okay, well then why would you back off?
It's never enough. It's never enough. That's how I feel. It's never enough. You take an inch and I give you an inch and you want to take a mile.
I take an inch and I want the full inch. And after that, we had a heart-to-heart. It got so explosive that we then just kind of stripped that away and privately talked and explained that conversation in the next episode.
What happened was the guy stood up and turned off the cameras and left, and then we just started talking. But then after the conversation, because it was a really productive one about what I found hateful, what your stance was, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And then we just like, it fades to black and we come and we're like, hi, and we're all energetic again because we'd like reset.
And that was like a long time, and
Yeah,
we did
yeah,
not
yeah.
think we would finish the episode. We thought we'd have to refilm the next day.
I thought, hey, if in just a few weeks she's already not defending the rage bait and over the top attacks against people and is willing to admit maybe she has room to be more compassionate and less extreme, maybe this isn't an impossible task. That was my thinking. She even pulled back on some of her rhetoric outside of the show and seemed to actually understand where I was coming from on a lot of things, which led to a lot of friendly and fond moments.
Usually if I don't know someone, I'm like, okay, I hurt your feelings, bye. But when I could tell I hurt your feelings even before you told me, I could tell during that podcast episode, I felt bad. I genuinely felt bad. And if it weren't for us doing this together and me learning who you are as a person, I wouldn't care if you felt bad. I would have just written you off. So to your point, I've filtered out these people and like excluded myself from so many relationships that could have been great.
Now, I say this next part at risk of being heavily judged, but I do want to be completely transparent with all of you while we go through this. At this point, I'd become genuinely, personally invested. Some of that you watched play out on the show, but it also happened behind the scenes, just interacting as people, stripping away Isabella's rage bait and politics. It was perfectly lovely. Dare I say, friendship.
We're having fun.
I really do believe, by the way, this story and the ending of it aside, that good people can say and do bad things and can change, and that by showing people the byproduct of your principles and kindness, respect, compassion, you can inspire them to align with said principles. And so that personal investment, where I really started believing the story of the Grudge was going to be a wild transformation, not people just bickering forever, a wild transformation story, both publicly and privately for Isabella. Maybe I'd grow in ways too with that interaction. But that buy-in made it really aggravating when we take one step forward, but then two steps back.
Is this or is this not hateful?
Oh, it 100% is.
Okay, and then you feel that's justified, why? Or are you admitting, oh, I'm doing the thing I previously said in the last freaking episode is not justified, which is being needlessly hateful to get clicks?
Yeah, I think the major difference here is this is a mutable characteristic. You can change this.
All right.
You cannot be fat. Stop eating.
All right, so
Now, let me get ahead of one talking point I hear a lot. Oh, you're just trying to control, or you were just trying to control her speech, or saying that the only way someone can be a good person is saying what you want them to say. No, and I do acknowledge that some of these lines are arbitrary and pretty squishy concepts, but I don't think the nuances of that take away from the obvious truth that Isabella doesn't seem very interested, separate from politics, from treating people online, to be clear, privately is different, as she'd want me to specify, with respect. And so she has the right to do and say whatever she'd like, but I like to surround myself with people who do have that basic level of decency, how I perceive it, who put something good into the world even online, which I think is fair, very personal filter for people. And plenty of folks of different political ideologies make it easily through that filter in my life. I have all sorts of different political backgrounds from people that I'm very close with, but there is a line, and Isabella was routinely miles away from it. So because I was becoming so personally invested in both Isabella and Josiah and thought real personal and political change for them could come of our collaborations, I was that much more emotionally attached and distraught to what felt like that constant one step forward and two steps back.
so then you wish you hadn't posted that.
No, I'm okay with it being hateful and not loving.
Yeah, of course.
So then I'm supposed to
We can disagree here.
No, I don't want to talk to someone. I don't want to do a podcast with someone who purposefully is hateful. We talked about this already. That was our whole hours-long conversation on camera and before.
A show that had started as, hey, I see people yelling on TV at each other all the time about politics. We could do a show like that. Turned into my daily emotional state being way too dependent on how my Operation Change the Moody's was going. And yes, I can hear them saying, oh, Luke, having fifis, how so very, what's the word? Gay.
If you do, you're gay. I feel like most gays are probably constipated. It's against nature being gay. Luke isn't gay, he's attracted to himself. Archie's gay too. Gay guy? That sounds like a gay term, so not gay.
Let's do a tally, Luke being gay.
Every second that he's gay, take a tally. Even gay men can beat women. Why do I sound like a gay woman? So gay. Homosexuality, guys.
How does he do that gay?
More than gay guys.
Let's do it. Am I gay quiz?
Bro, you're on some gay shit right now. I don't want to learn from my...
So at this point, we're many weeks in. They're practically living in DC now to film the show. I'm sacrificing a lot of time and effort away from my normal daily show because I'm so preoccupied with this mission I've created for myself. I'm engaged in the strangest friendship of my life and in a business arrangement that became about so much more than business. I saw redeeming qualities and I wanted to give those a little bit more oxygen than it seemed like they were getting. They seemed very deprived of oxygen. But I slowly and tragically started realizing, even though it seemed like we had made real progress, the level of emotional, financial, and time investment just didn't make any sense. And I also had a terrifying fear that whatever progress was being made may have just been a product of the show serving as an incentive for Isabella. And it wasn't authentic change. To be clear, I obviously don't know for sure one way or the other if these changes were because of the fact that I was paying her to appear on the show, or it could have not been that, and that she really thought she was exhibiting genuine growth. But I didn't want to continue believing or being worried about the fact that it could have been the former. And I was frankly just exhausted being so mentally invested in the show and in them as people. Like, I'd be genuinely so let down when in between episodes she would say something outlandish and insane on social media. So we met face to face, I explained my reasoning, they understood, and we parted ways. I really believe though that we'd stay in touch and maybe the growth and change would continue, but pretty quickly Isabella went right back to the exact same stuff she was doing when I met her. And again, I say and cringe admitting this, I was heartbroken. I am heartbroken. Even though I was just one piece of their lives, it still felt like a direct rebuke of our personal relationship and the work that we had done on the show. Now, she has said, and she repeats a lot, that what she says publicly, online, is not the same at all as saying it to someone directly. Sometimes someone's getting offended for a reason that's irrational. Sometimes someone should do some introspection and stop being so hurtful.
I do think that that's a valid point, Luke. And what I've been learning right now, like recently, is there's a difference between people online that seems like there's no face to it versus how I treat people in person, which is something I've been understanding.
Yeah. And you're gonna merge the two, where you try to treat people online also as you would treat someone in person.
I don't know about that.
That's just X, just Twitter, that's what you do. And all right, some of that could be the case, and I can accept part of that premise, but even with that context in mind, it felt personal, a slap in the face. That I'd spent weeks being convinced she understood why I had such little respect for people who act that way and rage bait and put that out into the world, and that there was a better way to be publicly. But it was for nothing. It was months of time that went right down the drain, that insulting people and hating on people and belittling people constantly for the performance of it as rage bait on social media was still fine with her. Because it's not serious, it's a joke. Which, by the way, I love jokes and I love even insulting jokes, but maybe I'm the crazy one here. That's not really how her statements read to me very often. So I was devastated. And I did call her and Josiah to share all this with them and ask permission that I share it publicly, because I'm not trying to start drama or do some big call out. We just kept getting messages to the show from people wondering what I thought about what she's been saying since the show ended. And so I wanted to really address it thoroughly and give it some time from the ending of the show to really see how it played out. And so I think that this is where I should leave it. My takeaway is not that people can't be inspired to be better by being respected. I think that we should lead with respect and compassion, even with people with the most mind-bending worldviews. But that doesn't mean that you never give up on them. Some people won't change. Some people will, as has happened in my personal life with others, plenty, but some won't. And that can hurt.
You have dabbled in political commentary, which I don't think you should, because I don't think you know much.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you probably should
Okay,
go to a
and then-
behavioral therapist and realize that you're not correct and that you're delusional and you need to figure out what other problems are happening in your life.
But you're not the professional, right?
Yes.
I'm physically and mentally exhausted.
Yeah,
that
me
was
too.
a roller coaster.
It was. But I'm excited for future episodes and
Mhm.
excited for the Grudge. Holding grudges here for the sake of America. Let's go.
No, Luke. We've been having a relatively good time. I think you have. I haven't really enjoyed this, but I'm just done.
I was like,
That kind of scared me.
I'm just asking, can we agree to disagree here? That's it.
No, the reason is because
I feel like I have to like constantly get in your approval here. And I feel like I've tried a lot already and it's like, cool, good job. Next, this is bad. Why'd you tweet that? It's like I'm in the principal's office. This sucks because I really do like doing the show, Luke.